Continue the M&A discussion with Darren Herman. He's the Chief Digital Media Officer for the Media Kitchen, and still with us, our guest host, Miles Nadal. Media Kitchen?
Yes.
You stole that word from us. This is like my media kitchen here, basically. That's what I call it, although perhaps Brooks inflicted some of the austerity, so all you guys get is water and a newspaper. But I digress. It's a way to start the conversation. Basically, you work for Miles now.
That's correct.
Buffett, you quoted before, said his trigger finger is itchy for more deals, and so is yours?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're being very bullish. There's $3 trillion of excess cash on the balance sheets of America. Average premium being paid is 40% premium. Texas Instruments paid a 78% premium. So when you have a low GDP growth environment, you've got very low interest rates, you've got the high yield market that's red hot, you know, average yields are less than 7%. Huge flow of cheap capital in industries that aren't getting big revenue growth. Consolidation is the best way to increase, you know, overall growth and market share, and that's why you're seeing an acceleration of M&A activity. All of the environments, you know, point to, you know, very bullish M&A growth activity.
Yeah, but Darren, for a smaller company, why did you want to incubate yourself basically in a bigger behemoth, so to speak, and not have the advantage of being a nimble black sheep company?
Sure. So we're talking about a lot of growth within the industry now. And so growth comes two forms, one of which is access to capital, the second of which is human capital as well. So financial access to capital within MDC and other places, there's a wealth of that. So it allows us to go into big initiatives such as spinning up internal organizations that we had on the roadmap a couple of years ago, and now we're able to do that fairly quickly. Other side of that is finding good talent. So getting the best people to come and work within the environments and incentivize them to stick around, you want to find places that attract those type of people. So MDC was a natural fit for KBSP and the Media Kitchen as part of that, because they had a wealth. It's where great talent lives, such as the motto that Miles walks around with. And then the second part of that is access to financials. And
you should give him a raise.
He's the best. But the reality is that we still think of ourselves as a network of smaller, nimble, insurgent, black sheep entrepreneurial companies. I actually think that companies can be more nimble, more agile, more entrepreneurial within MDC because they have the economic flexibility to capitalize on opportunity based upon what's going to be right for the future of the business, not just what's right for today. So, you know, Sergey and Larry talk about going back to thinking like a startup. We think like a 31-year-old startup. Like, I mean, that is the mindset of the organization. So that could be the future,
a bigger company with a lot of black sheep, essentially, Rouse.
Yeah, I just want to ask the guys, Dan, you were talking there about access to capital, investing in human capital. Obviously, we're more interested in return on capital, and I'm particularly interested in the social media space here. I still don't know why we can value Facebook at the ridiculous valuations it's got, and even early-stage investors in Facebook have told me they can't work out a way to monetize Twitter. So talk to me about return on capital.
Sure. So looking at the social media space sort of in general, is the growth of social isn't going to come from the social companies in themselves. The growth of social is going to be social penetrating all the big media channels that are out there, such as television, print, radio, and out of home. So we talk about TV, and obviously it's hard to talk about it while you're on TV, but tune in as people watching shows. So can social bring back people to watching live television outside sporting events? And the folks that can unite sort of those different pieces and put them together are, we think, the winners for the future. And so social in itself is not a channel. Social as part of other media channels are going to be what's big, and the big winners that are going to have those high returns are going to be the ones that can deliver that. So just look back a couple of years ago when you had Facebook and the presidential election. We all watched President Obama as on Facebook, and all Facebook chats and everything was right next to it. And that was a huge win where live television and social media came together.
But what about the idea also Zenith Media, Zenith Optimedia, I should say, is cutting its forecast for the worldwide ad market by almost 1.5 billion pounds, I believe. Also, UBS doesn't like the likes of your competitors, WPP and Publicis. because of exposure particularly to Asia and the Middle East.
So there are two things. Ross, with regard to social media, you know, the market is a discounting mechanism. It discounts the present value of the future earning stream. I was with Sheryl Sandberg on Monday. There was 40 million users of Facebook 7 years ago. There's now almost 600 million. You know, if you look at the growth of ad spending on Facebook, it's growing 50% a year. That same discussion that we're having about valuation is the same discussion as when Google went public with its IPO. And it trades now just like a normal company at a very modest multiple. With regard to global ad spend, the cutback, I mean, $1.5 billion on $650 billion is, you know, 15 basis points. It's not a great deal of a cutback. And the reality is it's only focused on the Asian market as a result of what's happening in Japan and its impact on cars and electronics, etc. But that's a short-lived issue. We're still expecting 4 to 5% global growth in ad spending.
Exposure there?
We have no. We're very fortunate. 90% businesses in North America, and we have very limited exposure in automotive, other than BMW, which is a fabulous automotive company on a global basis.
Very good. We appreciate your time, Darren, for coming to our Media Kitchen, so to speak, digital media officer at the Media Kitchen. Miles sticks around for the rest of the hour.